healthy and aging well. My name is Ken Haglind, and today is Saturday, August 18th, 2020, and we are broadcasting live from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park here, located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you improve your quality of life. And that includes wellness and health care, elder care, senior care, end-of-life care, caregiver support. And today we have a great show talking about your home. And we'll explain more about that in a minute. But I'm glad to be here with you today on a gorgeous Saturday in Minnesota. Folks, I know we have people that listen across the country to the show. And boy, summertime in Minnesota just can't be beat. I hope everyone today is doing well. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in the main studio here at AM 950 is Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design. And we will be talking about working through the logistics of downsizing and offering advice and tips to make your new space feel like home, and also how to enjoy quality living in a smaller space. So if you have any questions about downsizing or space issues or quality of life, get your questions ready for Deb. She'll be here with us all show today. All right, I want to mention we received several calls last week regarding my show with Judy Praska. She's the owner of Fast Test Labs in Bloomington. So for more information on her health and lifestyle testing services, you can reach Judy at 952-999-9490. Once again, 952-999-9490. Or visit her online at fasttestlabs.com/Bloomington. I want to thank all of you who have left us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and I want to, there's people that leave us a message saying, "Oh, it's Terry's birthday on Saturday. Say happy birthday to Terry." So that's great. Anything you have, feel free to leave us a message there. We welcome your questions, your comments, and suggestions, and also please continue to let us know of topics or guests you'd like for us to have on future shows. We are here to help you improve your quality of life. So call or text us anytime at 612-999-3426. And you can reach us today in the studio with text messages at that phone number in case you have any questions that you want to have us answer. Once again, that number is 612-999-3426. We look forward to hearing from you. Now, we are adding new listeners to the show each week. And again, I thank you for letting us know you're listening. But it's not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. So I want to mention the purpose of this radio program is to bring you specialists and experts who have a passion for helping others by providing advice and recommendations on how to navigate the challenges of managing both you and your family's health and quality of life. We also have a special focus on our aging population and their caregivers, which many times are the children, and how we can help you and your loved ones prepare for the various stages of life's transitions. Now, you can also find our recordings of all of our shows on the AM 950 radio station homepage by simply clicking the on-demand button and then clicking on our show logo, Living Healthy and Aging Well. You can also find us on Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, and you can listen in digitally on TuneIn when the show is being broadcast. Now, you have two ways to get your questions answered today. First, you can ask your question live on the air by calling the radio station, and that number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. We'll give that out throughout the show. Or, again, you can directly text me your question at 612-999-3426. So we look forward to hearing from you today. Please don't wait till the show's ended. I get a lot of texts and phone calls after the show's ended. So please try and get a hold of us during the show. And it helps other listeners out as well. All right. I want to introduce my guest today. I'm very, very excited. This is the first time in the show's history that we've had a designer on the show. And people think, well, what is a designer doing on Ken's lifestyle and health show here, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about it because it directly impacts your quality of life, and we'll talk about why that's important to have someone like Deb in your corner when you're going through those transitions. So Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design, we're going to be talking about working through the logistics of downsizing and offering advice and tips on how to make your new space feel like home and how to enjoy quality living in a smaller space. Welcome to the show, Deb.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, before we begin going through some of the ins and outs and logistics and tips and tricks about downsizing and how to reacclimate to a new place, the audience loves to hear about you. Tell us a bit about your background and how you ended up getting involved with this type of work.
Okay. Well, in my past life, I worked in a middle school. I worked with struggling readers and loved working with children. But during that time, I also have always had a passion for art and design. So I was forever offering advice and tips and helping neighbors and friends and family with their design issues. And I just did it for the fun of it, and that was fine with me. But when my husband and I moved from Hutchinson to Minnetrista 3 years ago, I decided I was going to turn my passion into an actual job and got certifications in home staging, redesign, color consulting, and e-design, and just found a way to help people in a different way.
Well, I talk to more people, especially owner-operators, who have done the same thing. It happens in midlife where they finally make that commitment to what I'm going to do what I love, and they're able to translate that love of a hobby or love of what they have done into a business. And you're just like one of those people that have done that.
Yes, I am lucky enough to have done that. And the thing is, when people do that, they also bring their other experience with them, which I think has added to my business because of that education background. I bring more of a collaborative and educational aspect to when I work with my clients, and I think they appreciate that.
Well, one of the big things I'm sure is patience.
It is.
And yeah. I think your background just helps support the patience that's required, because we're going to talk about this throughout the show today. It's a big decision. And I think, I see it in my practice with the transitions people have with their health and their ability to manage on their own, their independence. And in fact, I've had 80-year-olds on the show that have talked about what a transition it was going from living in the home that they've raised their kids in and they have lived in for decades, and it may have even been their parents' home that they then ended up living in, and eventually they need to make a decision.
Yes. It's very emotional for a number of reasons, and you're right, patience and understanding are required. You have to meet people where they are and then help them get to the point where they need to be, and that's a big part of what I do.
Yeah, and just being a great listener and the patience. And I think what happens, too, is because kids, the children, I say kids, they're 50s, 60s, and 70s sometimes, calling us and saying, hey, we need help. We just got a diagnosis for mom or dad, and it looks like they're no longer able to return to their home. We need to do something. And so not only are they dealing with a transition from a location, their home, but also dealing with some very serious health news or a very serious health condition. And so now all of a sudden you got a lot of things compounding at the same time. And it's very stressful for not only them, but the family as well.
Yes, I would agree. And that's one of the reasons when you are bringing in a stager to help sell or a designer to help with your new space, it's very important that you bring them into that situation so they understand. And so that changes their approach sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think the nice thing about you, we only have a couple minutes left in this first segment here, is that you do both sides of the equation in a sense. You will help a family stage a home so they can sell. You can sell as quickly as possible and for the best price. But you also have the background and the skills and the passion for helping them transition then to a new place. And I think that's where maybe a lot of real estate transactions, it's just it's a transaction. You get this thing done, sold, and you're on to the next thing where you really are helping them before. You're helping them prepare for the actual transition to a new location and help them feel really comfortable in the new location too.
Yes, I would agree. There's often feelings of anxiety, overwhelm, compounded by, sometimes grief, because they recognize that a certain phase of life is over. And part of my job is to help them get excited about the possibilities when they move, when they downsize, when they leave the bigger house and all of its responsibilities and the weight that carries, that sometimes that opens them up to more time to spend with family and friends, more time to pursue the things they love. And then that can be a good thing. And I try to remind them of that.
Yeah. It's surprising how many people I've talked to who have made that major change, leaving the home they raised their kids in or leaving that home they've been in for decades. And they said, you know what, I was really struggling with it, but once I made that change, I really was glad about the change. It was just hard to make that. It's a fear of change.
Yes.
And so I think we'll talk more about that in the next couple of segments here and go through some more tips and tricks here. But we're going to wrap up this first segment. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design. Now, she helps people with the logistics of downsizing and provides advice and tips to make sure your new space feels like home and how to enjoy living in a smaller space. So get your questions ready for Deb and give us a call at 952-946-6205. You're listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Finding the right lawyer is incredibly stressful. It can be tough to know even where to start. Don't just run an internet search for an attorney. Start with the Minnesota Lawyer Referral and Information Service, an enhanced program of the Hennepin and Ramsey County Bar Associations. They'll connect you with over 200 thoroughly vetted, qualified attorneys practicing in over 50 areas of law. Call 612-752-6699 or go to mnlawyerreferral.org. The right call for the right lawyer.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business with 500 combined years of professional experience. Standard Heating has been providing the Twin Cities with heating and cooling solutions for 90 years. Learn more by visiting standardheating.com/radio.
Help Victor's 1959 Cafe, your favorite Cuban restaurant, stay open. Victor's is closed temporarily, but they are accepting gift card purchases at victors1959cafe.com. So head on over to purchase a gift card, and once we're through this, enjoy some delicious Cuban cuisine.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable, and serving part-time can help you graduate debt-free. Do you want to stay close to friends and family? The Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving part-time in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want. Learn more by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard. Aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug from Ellie 2.0 Radio on Mondays from 2 to 3 p.m. Many listeners know that I train on human inclusivity and on how to be welcoming to diverse humans. Today, organizations of all sizes find that they need to train team members on equity and dismantling racism. I can do that. Many say that my trainings change how they see the world. And now I'm doing all of my work online, so everyone can attend regardless of where you're located. For more information, go to elliekrug.com. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you.
If you or someone you know is considering a move to assisted living, consider calling Neighbor Care, a new kind of in-home support that is more affordable than traditional home care. This innovative new home care model is designed to help older adults remain independent by making in-home support services more affordable and accessible. Care professionals can help with daily tasks in smaller time increments, even multiple times a day as necessary. Support is offered 24 hours a day. Serving the Twin Cities community for more than 125 years, Episcopal Homes understands the importance of a safe and supportive environment. Neighbor Care will begin its pilot closest to the Episcopal Home service area within the urban core of St. Paul. This service benefits from financial support from the State of Minnesota Department of Human Services, which recognizes innovation is needed to help support older adults in living well at home. Call 651-444-4000 today to find out if Neighbor Care by Episcopal Homes is available in your neighborhood.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life and how to improve the quality of your life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in the studio here at AM 950 is Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design. Now, she helps people with the logistics of downsizing, and it's much more than just logistics, folks. It's a psychological side of downsizing, and she provides advice and tips to make your new space feel like home and how to enjoy the quality of living in a smaller space. So to ask any questions to Deb, you can call us here at the radio station, and my friend Sam is here answering the phones, so feel free to give Sam a call and get your question on the air. That number is 952-946-6205, or you can directly text me your question at 612-999-3426. Before we return to our conversation with Deb Garvin, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by the amazing team at Minnesota Hospice. Now, Minnesota Hospice is an independent, physician-owned, this is a locally owned practice serving our local communities here in the Twin Cities with innovative and comprehensive end-of-life health care. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care, what it means, when is it appropriate, what are the eligibility, what are the qualifications for it, please contact the amazing team at Minnesota Hospice. They are experts at taking care of people and families in a transitional period of their life. So their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, that number, 952-898-1022. That phone number is answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or you can visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. And remember, folks, most people don't know this, but all the care in hospice, including the equipment and all the medications and all the visits by the nurses and the aides and the social workers and the chaplains, all that has already been paid for. It's a statutory Medicare benefit. So there's no cost to you or your family to receive this amazing health care. So please, don't hesitate. If you have any questions about that, call the great team at Minnesota Hospice, 952-898-1022. All right, Deb, before we get back to our conversation, please let our audience know how they can reach you if they have more questions or have more desires of more information.@How do they get in touch with you?
Okay. Well, they can reach me at deb.first, and that's with a 1st.impress@gmail.com. They can also call me at 952-855-1755.
All right, great. All right, we started the show here, and we were talking about just the transitions that we all face. There's a thing called the cycle of life, right, folks? We all have heard about that. And Deb and I were talking how, the first phases of our lives, we're accumulating. We're learning. We're going to school. We raise kids. We take care of kids. And then the kids leave. And then you find you have all this stuff. You have a lot of space. A lot of stuff's in the space. Very rarely does space not accumulate stuff. And in fact, the more space you have, the more things people give you, it seems like, too. And so the problem with that is that at some point we need to downsize. And not only downsize from a physical standpoint or even a financial, but even a psychological standpoint. And that's the great thing that Deb brings to this time of your life is she has done it before. She's great at doing it, and she's going to give us her thoughts on how to go about doing that. So we're going to, for the next 3 segments here, we're going to talk about right sizing and how to have a quality of life in a smaller space. So let's start out with someone makes a decision. And sometimes, Deb, as I've seen in our practice, it's not necessarily the people living in the home that are making the decision. They're getting encouragement from their children because the children can't continue to help take care of this home that they were raised in and they love, but they're realizing there's maybe a safety issue, a security issue, and it's time. And as we get older, we tend to start to lose things, and one of those things may be the home that we've grown up and raised kids in, And so how do you approach that with people and begin that conversation, or to help people through that conversation?
Well, that's a really good point, and I do try to be that person. Sometimes I can be that person that talks about that. It takes some of the weight of responsibility off the kids, and just explaining how this can be a very positive move. I'm going to give you an example of my father-in-law, who they lived on a farm place. Of course, there was just a lot of labor involved, big gardens, big yard to take care of. And it started to become more and more difficult for them. They had some health issues, and my mother-in-law was ready to go, but my father-in-law swore that, he was never going to leave. And after they did, we talked them into moving to this really nice townhome near a park. And you know what he said to me in a few months' time? He said, my only regret was that we didn't do this 5 or even 10 years earlier. And I've heard that from more and more people, because people don't always realize, what that weight of responsibility is like until it's gone. And then they realize how much lighter they feel and how much happier they are.
Well, I've even heard, too, that, there's a sense of obligation, because let's say you've been in this house for decades, or again, this is the house your parents had, and you ended up taking over their house. And there's a sense of obligation to kind of keep it going. And I've talked to so many people that said, I needed they needed an event, like a health event or something that almost forced them into making that decision. And what's interesting, too, I found, is that their health actually improved, not having to take on that burden of the maintenance and just managing this large entity, because they don't have any help anymore. The kids are gone, and so it falls on them. And a lot of times they have limitations now with their health. So it's change is hard. But I've never met anybody yet that said that change wasn't good, just like what you're saying. Right.
And people don't realize that the stress it puts on them. And as you said, stress affects our health overall. Yes. And, oftentimes we don't realize it until that stress has been removed and we're suddenly feeling so much better and realize that was the reason behind it.
Right. But it really helps to have someone who, like you, who's done this for numerous families and can come in with the confidence that, no, this is a good thing. The key is having someone like you help them with the process, because that's where things can bog down.
That's so true. And what I try to do, whether they're selling or, moving into their new space, you always need to have a plan, because when you have a plan, you can break the task into manageable parts. And when you do that, too, you figure out, okay, where do I need to ask for help and what are the resources? And it just takes away a lot of the anxiety and the feelings of overwhelm that come along with that.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's time for another quick break here. We're going to talk more about that process when we get back. I'm speaking with Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design, and we are helping talk about the logistics of downsizing and providing advice to make that new space feel like home. All right, if you have any questions, please give us a call at 952-946-6205. You are listening to Living Healthy, Aging Well. I am Ken Haglind. Please stay with us.
If you or someone you know is considering a move to assisted living, consider calling Neighbor Care, a new kind of in-home support that is more affordable than traditional home care. This innovative new home care model is designed to help older adults remain independent by making in-home support services more affordable and accessible. Care professionals can help with daily tasks in smaller time increments, even multiple times a day as necessary. Support is offered 24 hours a day. Serving the Twin Cities community for more than 125 years, Episcopal Homes understands the importance of a safe and supportive environment. Neighbor Care will begin its pilot closest to the Episcopal Homes service area within the urban core of St. Paul. This service benefits from financial support from the State of Minnesota Department of Human Services, which recognizes innovation is needed to help support older adults in living well at home. Call 651-444-4000 today to find out if Neighbor Care by Episcopal Homes is available in your neighborhood.
Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake would like to say Peeny Gigi for all your support these last 3 years. We discuss national and local Native news and events. Weekly correspondents bring us updates and information from all over Turtle Island.
Native Roots Radio I'm Awake is supported by Robbins Kaplan, LLP, dedicated to redefining high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country.
Saturdays live 1 to 3. Free Leonard Peltier.
Hi, everyone. Matt McNeil here. I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart who's become a member of AM 950 over the last few weeks. You can become a member by simply heading over to am950radio.com and donating. The membership response has been so great, we're planning on launching some brand new members-only content, like a monthly Tom Hartman interview and weekly updates with new content. Head over to am950radio.com and declare, yes, I want to support AM 950. For everyone who is a member, thank you so very much for your support. And thanks for listening to the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950.
Are you wondering what's going on with our real estate market right now? Then why not become a house geek? Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and host of the Twin Cities Real Estate Show here with your Market Minute. 4.86 is the average number of showings per week per listing in the median sale price range, and this is a key indicator of current demand in our marketplace. The median sale price is up by 8% over the same time last year, which is at about $297,000. The 30-year conventional interest rate is at around 3.33%. This is historically low and is virtually unchanged over last week. So what does this mean for sellers? Showing activity is slower than it was last year at the same time. However, due to the low inventory of homes for sale, activity is still showing it is a seller's market. For buyers, you are able to schedule showings with your realtor if you are taking proper precautions. Are you thinking about making a move? Then remember, you can check us out online anytime at housegeeks.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Sam Turnberg. Today we'll have increasing clouds with a high near 80. Tonight's partly cloudy with a low around 61. Tomorrow some storms with a high near 84. Monday sunny with a high near 79. And Tuesday sunny with a high near 82. The Eat Local Minnesota Restaurant of the Week is Nightingale. Nightingale at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis is open to limited outdoor and patio seating. They're open for curbside takeout and wine every day from 4 to 10 p.m. View the menu at nightingalempls.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health, your life. And my name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today at the main studio of AM 950 is Deb Garvin. She is with First Impressions Design, and she helps people with logistics of moving from one location to another in a downsizing situation. And she helps provide with tips and planning and advice to make your new space feel like home and how to enjoy the quality of living in a smaller space. So to ask Deb a question, you can call the radio station 952-946-6205, or you can text us right here in the studio at 612-999-3426. All right, I want to mention one of our sponsors here is NeighborCare. And before we get back to Deb's conversation here on right sizing, I want to mention that that NeighborCare is being offered by one of our show partners, Episcopal Homes. Now, if you or someone you know is struggling to maintain living independently or is considering a move to an assisted living community, please call NeighborCare first. Now, NeighborCare, it's a new kind of in-home support service that is more affordable than traditional home care providers. This innovative new home care service is designed to help older adults remain independent by making in-home support services more affordable and accessible. So that care providers can help you with daily tasks in much smaller time increments, even multiple times each day as needed. This unique support service is offered 24 hours a day. Now, this program is designed and offered by Episcopal Homes in St. Paul. For more than 125 years, Episcopal Homes has been serving the Twin Cities and understands the importance of a safe and supportive home environment. So NeighborCare is currently providing services near the Episcopal Homes coverage area within the urban core of St. Paul. If you have any questions or want more information, please contact Karen Vento at Episcopal Homes. Her number is 651-444-4000. Once again, call Karen Vento with any questions about NeighborCare, and her number is 651-444-4000. 888-888-4000 and find out if Neighbor Care by Episcopal Homes is available in your neighborhood. All right, Deb, before we jump back into our conversation here, remind our audience how they can reach you if they have more questions or want more information.
Okay. They can reach me at deb.first, that's a 1st, .impress@gmail.com, or the phone number is 952-855-1755. And if they want to check out my website, that is www.firstimpressionsdesign.com. And again, that's with a 1st.
That's right. All right. And great website, folks. Check it out here. So the first couple segments here, we were talking a little bit about just the psychology, the life cycle that people all eventually will have to face, and how you can help people by laying out a plan to make that process, that transition, easier, and it can bring more joy to the people involved, both the parents and the children, or the family loved ones that are helping with this decision and with the transition. So let's start. We ended the last segment about talking about a plan, and you call it reducing overwhelm. Let's start to talk about the process that you go through in creating that plan and then helping a person kind of see through this process to its conclusion.
Okay. Well, it starts with, a lot of us, as you mentioned, have accumulated a whole lot of stuff. And so the decision has to be made, first of all, what can, or most importantly, cannot be taken to that new space that is likely a much smaller. And so that determination has to be made. And often, you can make that determination by measuring. Measure that new space. Create a diagram with it. You can even use online room planners that are available, even through IKEA or Wayfair or Joss & Main, or you can just get some graph paper, a pencil, and a ruler and draw it out. And then you'll also need to measure your furniture pieces to see what's going to fit and what's not going to fit. That is the most important step, because you don't want to figure that out when the movers are dropping off your stuff and saying, where's everything going? And things aren't not working out. So having this plan is going to give you peace of mind, and the movers are going to have a map ready to go.
So they always said that one move is better than two moves.
Exactly. Or suddenly you're scrambling to find storage to put all this stuff that you don't have room for.
Which is an unexpected expense that also happens too when things are going
right. We don't want unexpected things happening. That's part of developing that plan. Then you have to make a plan. Now, how am I going to get rid of the stuff that I can't take with me? And, you may decide to try to sell it. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, consignment shops, estate sellers. You may decide to donate. And a lot of professional organizers will tell you that that's the easiest thing to do. And sometimes when you try to sell, it's not worth the effort. So Goodwill, Furnish Share in Chanhassen, Bridging, they have 2 locations in Bloomington and Roseville. Your church, that way you get a tax write-off as well. Certain things are not going to be good enough to sell or donate, and then you just may need to get a dumpster. And much as I hate to admit this, when we moved out of our home 3 years ago, we filled 2 dumpsters. And, that's often what happens when you have a whole lot of storage in your house. So I've been where you are, and I totally understand that. The other thing, get that help from family and friends, or sometimes from professional packers and organizers, because many hands can make light work of everything, and it's done in a jiffy.
And there's also a professional service in organizers, right?
There is. Okay. It's called the National Association of Productivity and Organizing. And I often work in tandem with a professional organizer. They are called NAPO for short, NAPO. And you just go to www.napo.net and just click on Find a Pro, and you'll be able to find someone in your area that can really be a big help in this situation.
Now, they can also help if you're going to stay in your home. You just want to have help in organizing. Maybe you don't have the energy, or maybe you're limited with a health condition.
Right.
I mean, they can help you stay in your home.
They can absolutely do that. They can help you get rid of the excess stuff and help you organize your stuff in a much better way, much easier to find, much easier to access, and again, improve that whole functionality.
Great. All right. Well, let's keep going through these tips here. So one of your big things is moving into a new space. You want to make it feel like home, and so it's a matter of thinking through: can I take some things that mean a lot to me, or how do I create that home feeling then
right.
in a new space?
Okay. Well, the first thing I tell people to do is, find your inspiration. There's a lot of places to find that, looking through decorating magazines, Pinterest and Houzz. A lot of people are addicts of HGTV like me, and they see places and they love them and they don't know how to get that. But you still need that inspiration and figuring out what it is you like. What are you drawn to? What colors and styles make you feel good? And then once you do that, the next step, as I mentioned, is really to get those measurements in place, the logistics figured out, and make sure that you're allowing for your needs. Form follows function. That is the big rule of design. For example, my in-laws, when they moved to their townhome a few years back, they were both using walkers. They both needed lift chairs. So they needed to have that adequate space for those larger chairs, and they needed to have that space where they could place their walkers when they were sitting down but have easy access to that. So keeping those logistics in mind is critical, and making sure that you have adequate space for that. And then also adequate room to move from area to area. You want to have at least 36 inches in those hallway areas or between rooms. So you also want to keep your focal point in mind. And I think for most of us, we have one of our focal points is going to be a television. There may be other focal points. Maybe there's a big wall of windows, or, in some places, like if there's a townhome, there may even be a fireplace. But you want to, in a community room, you want to have a U shape facing that focal point, or possibly an L shape, just depending on your needs. And once you figure out that focal point, that's really going to help you figure out how you're going to make that arrangement. If the space doesn't function well, or flow well, or feel right, you're just going to feel frustrated. So that's why a plan is critical. The other thing to remember, and this is what people get stuck on, just because there's an empty spot doesn't mean you should fill it. People have a tendency to want to just put as much furniture as they can, or they'll say, something fits. It doesn't mean the same thing as you can wedge it in tightly somewhere. There's a big difference. So that's so important to remember when you're trying to set up your new space.
All right. How about then, now again, what's nice is that you can help with that planning. You can go to that new space and help make sure that the measurements are right. And in construction, I always say measure twice, cut once. So you really want to make sure you have the right measurements, and to have someone like you who knows how to take those measurements, how to organize it and put it in a plan so it can be transmitted to somebody else, like the movers. I think that's really helpful to do that.
It is. Sometimes people can do this on their own, and sometimes they do need a professional who's done it many times and knows how to do that. And so that's why I'm available for people that say, this is beyond me, and I think I need to ask for a little help here. The other thing to remember that I remind people, you need to make sure that everything has a purpose when you're in a smaller space. Having that excess furniture really just creates a whole lot of visual clutter. And that also induces a feeling of claustrophobia almost. It's stress-inducing. And people don't always realize, they think, I can't relax in this room, and I don't know why. Almost always it's because there's too much furniture in the space and too much stuff on the walls. And so that's pretty easy for me to diagnose what the issue is and help them with that. You also have to be aware of the visual weight of pieces of furniture. So something that was maybe large and heavy and dark in color that worked just perfectly fine in your old house that had a lot more space. When you move that to a smaller space, it can feel overwhelming. So we have to be careful of things like that. And I can help people determine that. And then at that point, you might want to say, okay, here are the pieces now that I can bring with me. We've figured out that this can work in this space, but now I need to fill in maybe with some new pieces. And so that's where online retailers are a great guide for this, because they have the specifications of those pieces, the sizes. So you can figure out using your little graph paper to figure out what's going to fit in that space. But I always advise people now just print out that maybe it's a sofa or a chair from that online retailer. Bring it with you and shop locally, because you really have to do the Goldilocks test if it's going to be a piece you're sitting on. You need to know, is this firm enough or soft enough? Is it too long for me so my legs are going to dangle? Or is it too short for me so, my knees are coming up to my chest? What does the fabric feel like? Is it going to be durable? Is it easy to clean? Those are the things that shopping locally can help you with. And is the color true? You can't always tell that online. So that's just a little piece of advice, is just to use those online retailers more as a guide, but then use that. And it's very helpful to those associates at the local stores when you can give them a picture and say, I need something similar to this.
That's true. All right. It's time for another short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design. And we've been talking about downsizing and how to look at that from a quality of life standpoint. If you have any questions, call us at 952-946-6205. You're listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. Please stay with us.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality, and for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
While I'm pregnant, I can keep our baby safe by not drinking, smoking, or using drugs. But how are we going to keep her safe after she's born?
When I grow up, I look forward to dancing in powwows, going to college, and being successful. But I don't want to be one out of 3 American Indian women to be raped or sexually assaulted in her lifetime.
As relatives and friends of Native women, it is our responsibility to stand up and speak out for every woman's right to be safe in her home and the community.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, this is Laura. These are indeed confusing times. So much of our life, education, business, meetings have moved online, yet not everyone has internet access. AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, is here for everyone. Radio reaches people without internet. In fact, radio reaches more Americans than any other platform. 92% of U.S. adults listen to radio every week. Radio connects. If you know some organization, maybe a religious or civic group, seeking to engage and knows that a Zoom call costs money and does not reach everyone, consider a taped or live broadcast on AM 950. Perhaps a virtual not-so-silent auction, recovery support, spiritual support, business networking, poetry slam. If you want to learn more about creating a live or taped message on AM 950, call 952-946-8885 or email Laura at am950radio.com. AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, here for everyone.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. With the recent round of storms that came through the Twin Cities, some of you may have sustained damage to your roofing, siding, or windows. Call Snap Construction, the company we trust, to see if you sustained damage. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, and window company in the metro. Ryan, how are you able to help people that may have had damage from these storms?
Well, Chad, with experience, we've helped thousands of Minnesotans with their storm damage claims. If you suspect your home has damage or was denied in the past, give us a call for your free inspection. It can take up to a year for hail and wind damage to reveal itself. The insurance process can be complicated. We make it easy. We use the same costing software that all insurance companies rely on. As always, we stand behind our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. Don't wait. Call us for your free estimate or inspection today. 612-333-SNAP. 612-333-SNAP.
Welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life and ways to improve your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design. Now, she helps people with the logistics of downsizing and provides advice and helps you plan to make your new space feel like home, and also how to enjoy the quality of living in a smaller space. All right, if you want to get a question in for Deb, this is the last segment, folks. I know it goes by fast, but if you want to get a question to her on the air, give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us, 612-999-3426. Okay, Deb, before we return to our conversation, remind our audience, if they have any questions for you after the show, how do they get a hold of you?
Okay. They can call me, 952-855-1755. They can reach out via email, deb.first, that's 1st, .impress @gmail.com.
All right, fantastic. We have so much still to talk about here, and we don't have the time. We're going to have you back for another show. But we were talking off the air about part of the services you provide, and right now we've been focusing on kind of advice and planning and all these things. But you've also got a great service as a part of your service. It's a design program that you can actually create with them, and they can participate in that. And you can see things not only from a plan view, but also an elevation view. So talk about that a little bit before we get back into your services.
Okay. It's e-design, and it's technology that does allow me to build a room, based on your measurements. You can send me pictures of the room. You can even send me inspiration photos of rooms that you love. And then I will design that. And again, as Ken was saying, you can look down on it and see that bird's eye view, but you can also see it as a three-dimensional where the room will spin, and as it spins, the wall disappears in front of you. So you can see it from all angles and see what that layout is going to look like and feel like.
And I think that's so important for people because they are going from one environment to another environment, and you want to think through how you're going to live in there, and the egress and ingress and the access, and there's a lot of things to it. And if you start populating it with items that you say either you're bringing from home or you're going to be bringing new, to be able to put that all together and see what it looks like, I think that's a great way to help get some excitement too.
It is because, again, people can see what they're going to be getting, and that is exciting. The other thing that this software allows is that you can talk to each other right on the boards. You can leave notes. I can explain, okay, I arranged this way because of this reason. And then you can say, I like all of this, but I'm not particularly liking this chair in this spot. Can we switch that around? So it allows us to have a very collaborative relationship also. And people like that. They want to be involved, which they should be. And so it's very exciting technology that allows for that. And we don't necessarily have to meet face to face, especially right now when that's very difficult. Right. So this is a situation where that technology can really be a benefit.
Wow. And it's always so much easier to move things around on a software than
it is
to move things around once you've got it in place and the movers have left and you're saying, oh, why didn't I think about that? So, all right. Well, let's get back into talking more. We've only got a few minutes left here, but one of the keys you talked about was paint colors, and then also how to personalize your space.
Right.
Let's talk about those things in the last 4 minutes here.
Okay. Well, one thing to remember about paint color, ideally choose that paint color. Keep your permanent fixtures and finishes in mind. What color are your floors? What color is your woodwork? What color are your countertops? You want to pick something that has the right undertone, and don't assume that it's because it's a neutral or a white that it's going to work in every room. I've had people say, well, I loved how this color looked in my friend's house, but when I painted it, it didn't look right. So you need to be aware of that, and that darker, richer, deeper colors, warm colors are energizing, but they tend to bring the walls in, making a room feel smaller and more cozy. But the light, cool colors will make the walls recede, making it feel larger. And if you like whites and grays that are very popular right now, in Minnesota especially, it's important to go with those that have a warmer undertone because the bluer, cooler undertones can make a room feel chilly. And we, live in winter for almost 6 months. And so you really don't want your room to have that feeling.
Okay. And then you talk about lighting, how important
lighting is important
that
too.
Just makes a whole difference in a room about the ambient lighting and the mood and the feel.
Absolutely. And again, because we live in the dark for a good part of the year, And many rooms don't have like overhead lighting at all, especially living rooms. So it's very important to have a good lighting plan. You have layers of lighting, and make sure you're lighting up those dark corners. And even adding a mirror. A mirror itself doesn't provide light, but it reflects light. So having mirrors in key locations can help with that situation. But we as human beings, we love light. We respond to it. So it's very important to include that in your plan.
Boy, is that true. In fact, as people age too, they don't see as well, and lighting makes a big difference in how they can see and enjoy the things around them too.
That's a great point. That task lighting is very important. When it comes to like even under cabinet lighting, task lighting, reading lights, all of that is very important. Okay, we've got a minute left here, Deb. Okay. Let's talk about personalizing your space. Yes. So I would say, photos of family, places you've traveled, artwork. It can even be your grandkids' artwork or your own if that's a hobby. But one of the great things that I've done for a lot of people is creating a gallery wall with that. We unify them with the same mats or similar frames in different sizes. But it's a way of creating that, bringing those memories in and bringing that personalization in. And it doesn't take up any space on your floor because it's on your wall. And then curate them to prevent a cluttered look. So sometimes people have a whole lot of stuff. I say keep some storage bins, one of those rolling ones that can slide under your bed, and then swap things in and out rather than trying to put everything out at once, and then you've created that clutter, which again, like I said, is stress-inducing. And then you can keep your space feeling fresh and new, and you can even change it out seasonally if you like. So that's a great hint. Keep in mind, fewer, larger items are better than lots of little knickknacks or pictures. And realize that the eye needs a place to rest in a room, so really don't cover every inch of your wall space with pictures.
The human being needs space. Yes.
We do.
All right. Well, we are nearing the end of the show, and I want to thank Deb Garvin of First Impressions Design for helping us understand the logistics of downsizing and providing advice and helpful tips to make your new space feel like home and how to enjoy the quality of living in a potentially smaller space. Deb, thank you so much. Let's remind our listeners once more how they can get a hold of you if they have more questions.
Okay. I can be reached at deb.first, that's a 1st, .impress @gmail.com, or phone number 952-855-1755.
Well, we're going to have you back here because there's so much we didn't get a chance to talk about. And I know this is impacting people all across the Twin Cities and all across the country as the baby boom generation shifts into different stages here. So we'll have to have you back.
I would love to come back.
We hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation, or let us know of topics you would like for future conversations. And you can always reach us by phone or text at 612-999-3426. Please join us again next Saturday at noon for another live broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, live well.
I think it was the 4th of July.